Sziasztok, én WP vagyok, a Sneakerness Budapest szervezője. Ez a mai videó tényleg egy történelmi pillanat, hiszen akit mellettem áll, az nem más, mint a sneaker világ egyik legnagyobb atya, a Staple Design alapítója, a PIGEON megalkotója, legendás Jeff Staple. Jeff, thank you so much.
How you doing, Tommy?
For joining me.
Of course,
and
thanks
for
for
joining
having me.
us here in
We're
Budapest.
here, yeah.
Budapest.
I'm excited.
Yeah, first time in Budapest, right?
Yes, yeah.
Amazing, amazing. I'm really curious what you will think, and I think the best way to also showcase the local culture and also talk about your work is if we take a quick walk through the stands here.
Let's do it.
Before the opening, we're now before the opening.
People
and
setting
let's see
up and
what
everything.
Budapest got,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay, let's
Gyertek
go.
velünk! So Jeff, first of all, what are you currently working on? What are your current projects? You have recently released the Rizzoli book.
Yeah.
That's also one of the reasons you're here right now. We're going to have the Rizzoli book talk.
Yep.
Working a Stapleverse.
Yeah.
What else is there to mention right now?
I mean, you know, I have the clothing brand Staple. We're opening our first flagship store next year in New York. Yep. Just finished the 25th anniversary of the brand. We came out with our book, Rizzoli, as you said. So I'm still touring the whole world, doing different tour stops and releases. We just entered the metaverse and Web3 with Stapleverse. So it's kind of weird, like doing a book and doing an NFT project at the same time. It's like the future and the past. Yeah. And then I have my creative agency, Read Art Department, which works with, you know, dozens and dozens
Leading
of clients.
Brands of the world.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's a lot of stuff.
You mentioned the new flagship store.
Yeah.
How much is it going to be a completely new story in comparison to Read Art Space?
It's going to be a Staple dedicated store.
Wow.
But you know, I think Read Space was a multi-brand store that sold Staple. I think this store is going to be a Staple store, but there's still going to be a sprinkle of like other brands because, you know, I love the whole culture. You know, I want to like support every artist and creative doing their thing, so it won't be 100% Staple. Yeah.
I see.
And there'll be like a food cafe concept inside of it too.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So it'll be a mix of different cultures in the end.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I think maybe let's start walking this way.
Okay.
And let's see
show
what
me
we will
around.
find here. I'm super curious what you will think about the local culture and also how much it differs, let's say, from the culture in the US sneaker culture.
Yeah.
And what's in the focus right now. How do you see the current state of the sneaker world and the sneaker game? Obviously, we've been talking for a long time, about bubbles popping around sneaker culture, etc., etc. But it's looking to get into a more sustainable hype way in the end, that it's not going up and down so much anymore. But I'm really curious how you see that.
Yeah, I feel like it's I don't think the bubble will ever pop on sneaker culture anymore, but I do feel like the height of resale culture is now leveling off, you know, and I don't think it'll ever go completely off, but I think it's at a good place actually, because I think what it's allowing for is now a whole bunch of other brands, you know, because people are so into sneakers, and yes, Nike, Adidas, Yeezy, Jordan were like the number ones for a while, you know, everyone wants that. But now because they're learning about the sneaker, the entire culture, you know, so like Solomon or Asics or Hoka or Mizuno, like all these brands that like people never even knew about are now having a chance to, and so there's like this wider selection. So it's like, if I look at it as a chart, it's not like a spike where there's like one, it's like a level off plateau.
I see.
And I think that's overall better for the whole culture.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, obviously, it's a fact that social media has played a huge role on the current state of the sneaker culture. What I believe has changed a lot over the past years, for a fact, is that, you know, I mean, back in the days when it started, and you will be able to talk a lot more about that than me, it was a lot about having this mystery, this insider joke, this insider thought, let's say, to a culture. I mean, you also, in your Rizzoli book, you write a lot about, for example, Obi and the brand Obi. And I mean, Shepard Fairey's work was basically all based on this thought of this, having this insider feeling also with Andre the Giant, and having something that someone from the outside might not understand, but that has a meaning to the culture. Today, it's a lot more difficult to stay mysterious in some way. Do you think it's still possible to like create something new or bring a new culture that 100%. Can stay mysterious?
100% possible. And it's not only possible, it should be probable. Like it should be the way, you know, like So, you know, for example, you have brands like Jeep and Samsung here now. So obviously, big, huge national, international brands like that are not going to come into a space if it's still, like you said, secret inside society, right? They're coming here because they see massive opportunity. Yeah. It's our job as the culture side to keep pushing, you know, like not running away necessarily, but like it's a little bit of a cat and mouse game where like, okay, now that you're here, it's our job as the culture to like push into the darkness and figure out what's new. And then the brands should keep coming and supporting, you know. And I've been doing that for, like I said, 25 plus years.
Exactly. So. I mean, you just mentioned the whole idea about brands and brands collaborating, and we see so many new brands and new cultures collaborating with the sneaker culture. Yeah. I thought it was super funny when Gary Vee posted a video on Instagram after the release of the
VeeFriends pigeon thing.
No, not the VeeFriends. It was the I can't even remember the Air Force One with Tiffany's. The Tiffany's Air Force One.
Yeah.
And he was talking about, wow, what a nice way of communicating, what a good communication tool, and how innovative it is to make collabs. And I think you commented something like, I've heard of that before. So, you know, you've been doing that for the last 20 years. Yeah. How is your feeling about like this tool of communicating and telling stories, getting into completely new industries and completely different industries as a communication tool?
Yeah, I think it's great. You know, I think it's the future. But like I said, I think it's up to creators, the actual independent creators, to keep pushing and forging ahead. And I also want to add that like it shouldn't feel like forced. You know, like I don't wake up every day and think like, how do I run away from the brands and like do something really weird? Like it shouldn't be like that. It should just be like whatever I naturally feel the course of the industry should go. I should just follow my instincts and go that way. And you know, I've been doing it for 25 years, but like my co-host Hiroshi Fujiwara, he's been doing it for like nearly 40 years, you know what I mean? And so, but I don't feel like it's forced. It's not like a forced thing, it's like a natural thing. Yeah. And that's actually the definition, I think, of what a tastemaker is, right? It's like someone who just has a taste and keeps evolving that taste, and then other people want to like keep understanding what that taste level is, you know? Yeah.
That's fantastic. Yeah, we see an adapt sneaker right here, and I think that's actually quite an interesting question that it brings up. Obviously, you know, we live in a state currently where we're kind of clinging on to old stories and the classic sneakers. You know, Jordan 1 was released in '85, didn't change a thing, and still the most popular shoe of the youth. And innovation is not necessarily bringing success for all the brands, and there are some challenges. What do you think could be the key to actually bringing innovation to the people that could actually also hit this nerve and become a love brand or a love item? Megfogadjuk, srácok, az adaptot? Hogy nyílik?
Well, there's two ways to do it. One way is to have patience, right? So if you think about air technology and when that came out 40 years ago, that was the innovation of the day. And now, 35 years later, it's like the best-selling thing, right? But when Air came out, the #1 shoe was Chuck Taylor. Right? And so people thought like this Air thing is like, what is this waste of time? No one's gonna buy a $100 sneaker, you know? And so it took a long time for Air to become mainstream. And now Chuck Taylor is like seen as vintage, right? So it took 30 years, it takes time. So when something like Adapt comes out, it's gonna take time for people to adapt this, no pun intended, but they're used to Air, just like 30 years ago, they were used to Converse Chuck Taylor, you know? So one way is time. The other way that brands could do it is stop making Air Jordan 1s.
Right.
Like just stop, right?
Solution really simple.
Then people will be like, oh, that's an old shoe. You know, just like you can't buy a vintage Brooks or like an old, you know, like Reebok, you know, aerobic shoe or something like that. And then they'll be like, oh, what is this? Wow, this is really great technology. I'm gonna wear this and like start to adapt it, you know, like and understand it. But the thing that's happening now is that sneaker brands are so heavily relying on retro. Why would a customer try the new thing that as a brand, you've spent hundreds of millions of dollars developing this thing, but you still keep making this, and it's natural for humans to just keep going to the thing that they're familiar with, you know what I mean? So I'll give you another analogy. It's like cars. There's electric, self-driving cars, but there's still diesel, manual transmission cars. oh, how do we get people to buy electrics out? Just stop making the diesel car, and then people will go to it. But if you keep making the old thing, people will still keep going to gas stations. It's the exact same thing with the sneaker.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Lots of young brands here and young entrepreneurs here.
Yeah, this is the part that I love. Yeah.
Exactly. So what is your, I think this is a good moment to talk a bit or start talking about your entrepreneurial journey, how it started for you, what it has been like.
Yeah.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but especially when reading your book, it kind of gives a feeling that you were, especially in the beginning, a lot of inspiration came from a lot of anger and frustration at some points against the system, against things happening in that certain system.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's also like a thing, for example, for rappers, let's say, when they make it out the hood, they can't rap about the same things anymore. Yeah. How do you think, did that affect your artistic vision or your style of creation in any way? That obviously you have different things that upset you probably today. Maybe you don't even talk about them as much as you did back then. But did that have any effect on the way you work and the way you think and the way you create?
Yeah, tons. I mean, that was the fuel for me.
Right.
You know, I obviously had a skill and an eye as an artist and a designer, but I think if you don't have that anger, as you said, or frustration, that's the fuel that drives you. You know what I mean? You look at like a rapper, like you mentioned, even if the skill of rhyming is like almost like an athletic skill, but if they didn't go through the tough times, they kind of have nothing to say, you know? Yeah. And I feel like that as a designer too. This is my favorite aspect, is when I see young brands being born out of this culture. That's my favorite thing, because a lot of that was why I started Staple. I wasn't seeing stuff that I wanted to represent and wear. So I was like, how can I make it? And you know, as you referenced, I didn't know how to do it. I just kept trying to build it. And so when I see brands like this starting to be born, it's the most inspiring thing for me, especially when I see a brand that came up through the culture that becomes really, really successful. You know, those brands are like, wow, like, it's so shocking to me that like you can build a successful brand off of this culture. You know, like this culture has really changed lives. That's what people really need to understand. You know, these kids are like, you know, if you were like painting on a swoosh, or if you were like trying to make a better cleaning product, and then you build at it, and then now like years later you have like a multi-million-dollar business. Yeah, that's incredible. Like in another alternative, that kid is making $60,000 a year working at an office job and hating his life. Now, you know, because of this culture, he loves his life, and he's like taking care of his whole family from it.
I see. And also talking about, you know, sneaker, streetwear, hype entrepreneurs, if we want to phrase it that way, listening to the business of hype, after a while you start noticing that it is a very rare moment that any one of the super successful business people on the show start with a sentence like, oh, I built a great Excel sheet, a great PowerPoint presentation, a great business plan.
Yeah. None of them,
do you think this is a way of working or a way of becoming successful that is only true for this certain culture, or is it just something that other cultures or other industries could also take over? Because I feel like, you know, it's a lot more passion driven in some way, which will be my next question. But first, I'll
it's definitely very unique to this industry, I think.
Let's see some pieces, I would say.
Yeah, it's really unique to this industry, I think. I mean, other industries can try to learn from it. And that's why I did the show Business of Hype, to kind of show like how we work, and then show other industries like if you just loosened up a little bit, maybe, you know, it's like an art and a science. Most businesses operate like a science project, right? There's like a hypothesis, you run tests, data, you know, and then you crunch out a result, right? But there's art element to it too. And I'm not saying for businesses it should be all art and no science, because I think I wouldn't have survived 25 years if I had no science. I needed to balance the books and do actual, you know, mathematical things. Yeah. And I see a lot of brands out there where I look at them and they're so inspiring, but I can look at them and know, like, you'll probably be out of business in 5 years because you're not looking at the science part. You have to look a little bit at science. Yeah. So I want brands to understand both. And most brands are very cold and like boring and have no science whatsoever, or no art whatsoever. And I'm trying to tell them like, no,
that's a mix of the two.
That's like fantastic. Loosen up a little bit, you know?
Yeah, definitely. What I'm super curious about, what your thought on that is, talking to lots of entrepreneurs, there is this one point of advice that you hear sometimes, that if you want to build a successful business, you have to leave passion or your passionate topic out of it, because it could lead you to becoming...
This is a great picture, by the way.
The hustle part.
The hustle, yeah.
Exactly. So, so there are some business people that actually say that, you know, if you bring in your own favorite topic that you're super passionate about, it could lead you into wrong directions through emotional choices and emotional decisions. How do you feel about it? How do you have to balance the passion part and maybe the path that you only see, but you can't quite support with the science of it?
Yeah.
With the actual, you know, hard facts.
I deal with that every week in my job, because there's my personal opinion, and then I have my team, which is like either a financial team or a legal team or a strategic team, and they're telling me like, no, we hear you, Jeff, but we should go this way. Yeah. Oh, I think we should go this way. I think we should go this way, right? And we intelligently argue on this. We debate on it, right? Eventually, someone's got to say, this is the fucking way, right? And oftentimes, that's me, but that's also because this is my brand, and I'm also the face of the brand. And it's like, if you want to, like, if we cannot convince each other of the way, at the end of the day, I'm going up on stage and saying this. It's me saying it. So do you want me to believe it, or do you want me to lie to myself? I think you want me to believe it. So that's usually the tiebreaker. But me as a CEO and as an entrepreneur, it's really important that I listen to everyone and that I accept all the ideas and that we have an intelligent debate. I know a lot of, especially artistic, creative entrepreneurs that are just like, you know, like you've seen videos of like Kanye doing this shit. It's like, shut the fuck up, this is my shit, you know, like, and if you keep treating people that way, they're gonna be like, I'm not even gonna give you my opinion anymore. I'm not even gonna, I'm just gonna say yes so that my life is easier. I don't want yes men, you know, I want an actual opinion, you know, but you gotta have a it's like a mini collaboration within a company.
Definitely. Going back to our topic from before, how much actual innovation in new silhouettes can work, and maybe one of the most successful actually new silhouettes of the past years has been the Yeezys, obviously. I actually haven't heard you speak so much on Yeezys before. I see you pretty really, I don't know if there's a reason for it, or if you would be open to share your thoughts on it. But I'm super curious of what you think, on one hand, obviously, of the classic 350s, but also on this new way of really going back in technology some way and like totally simplifying the process behind shoemaking. And I'm also curious, what do you think is the actual innovation in sneaker business, simplifying things and making it accessible for everyone, or actually bringing, let's say, new sole technologies into a shoe?
I'm a huge fan of Yeezy, because I think what they've managed, and this was really the first one that kicked it off, you know? I'm a huge fan of it because they created a completely new design vocabulary that didn't really exist before. You know, shoes didn't look like this before. And other brands have tried to make crazy looking shoes that weren't around before too, but none of them have really struck like this. And I think it really took a figure like Kanye West to like help introduce that to people. You know, I'm looking at that shoe right across. The Shocks. The Shocks, when that came out, was also like, whoa, completely new thing. But it didn't catch like this did. And I think the difference maker is someone like Kanye validating it, you know? So I'm a huge fan. The reason why I don't rock it that much or talk about it that much is actually because it became, in my opinion, too popular, too fast, and too hyped. And obviously, as a business, that's your goal. You want to be $1 billion overnight, right? But as a tastemaker, I don't want to walk in a room and there's 100 people and they're all wearing Yeezys and I'm wearing Yeezys too. It's my job to break the mold a little bit, you know what I mean? And wear things that you might not understand.
Asking you, as you being a brand expert, is there a way back from this? If a brand's in a situation like this, if it goes through the classic, let's say if it completely skips the classic phases of the product life cycle that we teach in school and that's in the textbooks, if it just right away jumps up to mainstream with a huge growth phase, which is obviously great from the number perspective, but not necessarily great from a point of culture. can a brand retrieve that? Can they actually make a U-turn from that?
Yeah, definitely. It's all about, like, if you think about it like a water faucet.
Yeah.
And you can control how much water flows out, right? So two brands to me that have done it masterfully for the past 30 years is Stussy and Supreme.
Yeah.
And Supreme maybe is kind of fucking it up right now, right? But for 30 years, they were doing it perfectly. You know, and you know who's the #1 brand of all time that is controlling that?
Tell me.
Hermes.
Wow.
Hermes is the #1 brand of all time. Hermes, people think Hermes is a luxury brand. It's not. Hermes is a logistics brand. They are the #1 logistics company in the world because they manage inventory and sales perfectly.
Amazing.
Better than LVMH.
Never thought about that. That's fantastic.
And so can a brand turn around? Yeah, Stussy at one point, you know, when they started, they were a street surf brand. Then they became like a department store everywhere brand. Then they dialed it back. They said, you know what? And I know the owner of Stussy, and they were like, we could make $50 million this year, and it's our last year, or we can make $10 million this year and go another decade.
Right.
Let's do it that way, because we all love doing this brand, you know?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally understand. I mean, and also in some way, what I do believe, and I'm curious what your take on that is also what is the way to success in the current state of the world and social media for a brand? Is it to have a big reach and reach a lot of people and have like a huge, let's say, huge ad campaigns with huge billboards, or to specifically target certain cultures and certain passions, certain industries with, let's say, smaller target audiences, but a lot more intensity, a lot more emotion?
Well, when you say a brand, do you mean like an apparel clothing brand, or do you mean like a
any brand,
even like a content creator, like an
even
individual
like a content creator?
Yeah. So that's the beautiful thing about the world we live in nowadays, is that if you're a single individual content creator, you can be a very successful millionaire just doing your own thing.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be everything for everybody. Because of the internet, you can find a big enough niche that gets you enough eyeballs and audience. Now, if you want to be a brand that makes like clothing or makes shoes or something like that, that's a little bit of a different story because of the amount of minimum orders and logistics that are involved in making that. You need some scale. It's hard to have 100 fans, you know, and then you could do it like 1 or 2 or 3 years of like, here's my 100 search, but eventually the costs are gonna like eat away at you, and you need to have volume to scale it, you know. There's a lot of innovation there, like with 3D printing and like on-demand, like, you know, like I love what Zellerfeld does, for example.
I was just gonna ask you about that.
But so Zellerfeld's model is incredible. The concept of like a custom printed one-off shoe, no inventory for each person, great, applause. But people don't realize how many millions of dollars he had to build the infrastructure of the printing machines, the 3D, the wear, like that took, so that is like kudos to what they did, but that's the same as if you just took millions of dollars and put it into like inventory and manufacturing too, you know? He just put it into this new tech that I think in decades will scale. Yeah. But like people must realize that he spent a lot of time, effort, and engineering on that. Yeah.
I would say we should check out some prints because there is a...
How you doing? Nice to meet you too. Thank you, man. Wow, I've never seen this before. You made this?
Yeah, I made it.
Wow, that's dope, man. I have a marker. Let me see.
Okay. If you want to, like, I would love to.
Yes, I'll take one. Yeah, please.
You have this.
Yeah. You want me to just sign, or you want me to write your name on it or anything?
Oh yeah.
What's your name?
Raphael.
R-A-P-H or F?
F.
A-E-L?
A-E-L. Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. I have a question. Like, how you feel? Like, do you feel a little bit proud that you have, because of you, one of the biggest sneaker riots went down in New York? Like, do you feel a little bit proud?
I feel 50-50. I feel half embarrassed and half proud.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
I will feel really proud because it was a huge moment.
Yeah. Now every kid wants to have a riot when they release their thing. But
exactly.
when I released this shoe, you know, I was a business owner. I owned a store. I did not want a riot. I wanted a smooth, you know,
Yeah, of
operation.
course. Yeah, of course.
But now it's funny. Every kid's like, oh, that shoe released? There wasn't even a riot. There's not supposed to be a riot.
It's your fault. That's nice, man.
There you go.
Thank you so much.
Thank you too. Yeah, thank you so much.
So much. Nice to meet you, man.
Awesome.
Have a nice day.
Are you from here?
No, I'm from Brazil, but I live in Barcelona.
Cool.
Yes.
Wow.
All the way from Barcelona.
Nice to meet you, Rafael.
Appreciate that, man. This song, this is crazy. He's Menta. He's a legendary Hungarian hip hop artist, like a rapper, and he's now making rugs. Fantastic.
It's so awesome.
That's amazing. Sure.
You know, I think in my day too, we started like this as well. I don't know if you know anything about rave culture.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so when we were like going to raves,
yeah,
we would take the McDonald's logo and it would say marijuana or something like that. Like we were taking logos and flipping them. Now, that's fun and it gets you attention, but you can't build an entire brand off of that, right? You gotta add your mix to it. But when I see stuff like this, and now the manufacturing is like so much better. It's like crazy. It's like a legit brand. But he's adding his contribution to this culture. But you can't make a whole brand based on like Nike rugs, right? Eventually someone's gonna shut you down. But what he needs to start doing, and I don't know who he is, but like he needs to take this and then start flipping it and like adding his thing to it. You know, so like two brands of note right now, like, you know, Market used to be Chinatown Market. You know, he just was bootlegging, but then now he's built a whole brand off of it. And the other one is Vandy. Vandy was also just bootlegging stuff, but now he's like shifted it, you know, to become a real legitimate brand. And now those brands that he was bootlegging are asking him for an official collaboration. That's a really only streetwear thing that happens.
Yeah. What would your advice be to young entrepreneurs, young artists? How do you find your own signature?
You have to add in, you can't 100% copy.
Right.
You can freaking 90% copy and just add in 10% of your own spice. And what I think will happen is that eventually it'll be 80% copy, 20% your own, and just keep dialing it, you know, and eventually you'll find that you actually will get tired of the copying and you'll want to just do your own thing, you know, and the copying is good just to like, you know, actually, I'll give you another incredible, maybe the #1 example in the last 3 years is Mischief, right? Mischief was just straight copying, wanted to get sued every time. That was their mission. I know the founder of Mischief. He was like, we want to get sued every single drop to get the attention, to get the hype. And then we're going to introduce our own thing that you can't sue us for, you know? Like the big boot, right? Or like, you know, all their wavy shoes and stuff, but like that's the thing that people will want now. So they were a classic example of like bootlegger to brand. Right.
Also, speaking of which, I think what is one of my favorite takes from you, I think it's incredibly interesting, is that, you know, so many people think that actually not being from New York, being from a big city is like a huge disadvantage.
Yeah.
But really often this underdog advantage can be super strong. I mean, also, let's say coming from Hungary, which is definitely not the US, especially speaking of sneaker culture, I experience it too. Like standing out in your local spot is a lot easier. Like, you know which triggers to pull.
Totally.
You know which way to go. So how is it in New York? I mean, that's like a completely different world. You also said before, if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. But how can you make it there?
I mean, I can't speak for how it's like to start a brand or, you know, start a career in a small town. New York is great because there's so much opportunity and, you know, everyone's doing their thing. But the negative of that is the competition.
This is kind of like social media in the end.
Yeah, in a way, right now, you know, but this is pre-social media, so like everyone was out there, but like the talent level in New York is crazy, you know what I mean? Like, you could argue that on a top 100 list of creatives in New York, number 99 would be number one anywhere else in the world, right? So like the competition is crazy, but you're right, that doesn't mean that if you're from a small town, you're at a disadvantage. I think because of social media, at a small town, you can gain this following so quickly and get global recognition. You know, like you look at like a rapper like Drake, like nobody cared about Toronto rap before him, but he put Toronto on his back and then showed the entire world what Canadian hip hop was, you know, which wasn't a thing before that. Yeah.
I mean, we saw the poster before, so I feel like we need to talk about the riot, obviously, and the pigeon.
Riot. Yeah. Yes.
It's incredible. It's fantastic. And we talked about finding their own signature, and I would really just love to talk about the pigeon itself, because in some way, you know, it started out as an anti-hero, which kind of made it so interesting in the end. I feel like, what do you think is so special about people's relationship to not the usual heroes, not the classic heroes? We're a lot more attracted to these little bit of outstanders in some way.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I mean, I think people root for the underdog. It's very natural, you know, like whether it's sports or like a movie or something like that, you want that guy who just came out of jail to like win, you know what I mean? And you know, even like the reason why I made the pigeon my logo is because I loved animals as logos, coming from Ralph Lauren and the polo horse. And you know, the story around Ralph and the polo horse is also a bit of an underdog too, because Ralph wasn't from the polo society. He was like a Brooklyn kid. He aspired to the polo society.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so he created the polo horse to show this is my dream life, but it's not my reality, right?
Wow.
And people love that thought. Then 50 years later, I think the pigeon represents the opposite of that. The pigeon represents, you've made it, you can go to the polo club, but I want to represent where I came from. So it's almost like the exact opposite of Ralph's thing. The pigeon shows you that you came from the streets, that you are down to get dirty and you're down to hustle. But now I have kids, I have a career, I have a BMW, I have a house, but that pigeon spirit is still in me, you know? Yeah.
Sordeo is the brand itself. Sordeoism is like the thought coming out of it, but basically Sordeo means in Latin, it means something like dirty, like not, you know, unperfect, like raw, rough, and this is kind of like the thought behind it, like about exactly this underdog thought and this underdog process, like getting your hands dirty in the end.
The market here is so creative with the way they display stuff.
Yeah.
It's stronger than in the US, I have to say, I feel like US is a little bit lazy. They just put shit up, you know, but like there's a real concept around everything. What are these, candles?
Exactly.
Wow.
Foghatjuk.
Really cool. Do they have different smells?
All vanilla.
That's awesome.
There needs to be a pigeon candle.
Well, do they even have the dunk?
Dunkotok van, Yeah.
Yeah, so they just need to like stamp it
just
in.
a pigeon stamp on there.
Cool. Okay. Oh, sorry I touched it. It says don't die.
Hello guys.
Hi.
I don't want to bother you, but the video, at the interview.
It's okay. You're in the video now.
Oh, okay.
You're part of it.
Thank you.
What do you got?
These are
sure.
2 Utos.
2 what?
2 Utos. Uto origami.
What is that?
The origami dunks.
Oh, okay. You want me to sign this?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Oh,
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Do you need it?
Yeah.
Nem is csak pigeoneket, hanem mert jutó origamikat is dedikálni Jeff természetesen.
Oh, you have a pen now?
Yeah.
Just please.
Here?
Yeah, that's perfect.
There you go.
Thank you.
You want the other side too? Or just,
No,
okay.
just one of them.
I'll just sign one.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's not my shoe.
No. Okay, that's enough for me.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Happy enough already.
Have a great day, guys.
You too, I'll see you later.
Thank you.
Do you know,
this is basically
do you know Urban Necessities?
Yeah, of course,
Yeah.
JC,
Yeah, he's like the monster.
He's the man, insane. Unbelievable. Yeah.
This is a new brand?
This is a new brand, it's actually, they're producing in Portugal.
Oh,
they're from
cool.
Hungary, and they have like a certain storyline connected to every sneaker. So,
nice.
yeah,
Cool.
it's nice to see a, product in hands too. exactly.
So what's the upstairs? Just more sellers?
It's
or
just
a
more
different
sellers
concept?
and completely different concepts. So for example, we have some customizers over there. We have Mizuno over there.
Oh, cool.
There's a lot of it. For example, here, this is actually I want to show you this. This is you know, on the thought of the Dernbecher campaign, I wanted to create something similar in Hungary for the local culture. So I worked together with Iceberg, and their CEO is he's the inspiring leader of the year in Hungary for the last 2 years now, and basically supported the Kórházsuli Foundation, and the children in the foundation have designed the shoes, and we made them happen with customizers.
Wow.
And we're going to
What is Iceberg?
auction them off. They're actually making salads. So it's also like a combination of like non-fashion brand with the sneaker world. And
cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's about it. Okay. Let's see some more sneakers, I would say. So how much of you know what I'm super curious about, Jeff?
Yeah.
How much of the Air Max Plus hype is coming in the US right now?
Very little.
Not at all.
No.
It's unbelievable. You guys see us stuck. Because
Nothing.
Here, like in Europe, this is now
know,
the total new wave with so many German and French rappers rocking them.
Yep.
Another cultural difference.
Another cultural difference, yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
It's, for us, it's still all about Air Force Ones.
Okay.
You know,
Wow.
I don't know what it is. Air Force Ones, and I wonder what it is. I would love to figure out the psychology around it. My theory is that Americans don't like visible air that much. I think, like, because if you think about Air Jordan 1, Air Force 1, and Dunk, none of them have visible air.
That's true.
Right? And
yeah.
I think in Europe, Air Max wins, and I think in South America, like Shocks is crazy in South America.
Right.
So they love the technology visible thing.
Totally.
And I think Americans, we're just dumb. No, I'm just kidding. But you know, like, you know what the #1 car in America is?
I don't.
Like, by 10 times the best-selling vehicle in America for the last 15 years, nonstop. Ford F-150 pickup truck.
Ford F-150 pickup truck. Oh my God.
Yeah, better than the
pickup
Camry.
Truck.
Yeah, more than Camry, more than Accord, more than everything, more than Prius.
Unbelievable.
So if you think about it, like the aesthetic, the F-150 is like the Air Force One. It's just like a chunky thing, no technology in it. You know, like I think we just want that durability. You know.
Totally. Say let's. See you later. Yes, look. Let's head that way. Maybe go down super quickly just towards the stage, go up on the other side, and then I think we're pretty much done and through all of it. And we got the Air Force Ones also.
Yeah, are they popular here? Like
they're very popular. They're like the most hyped basic shoe right now. Some more Hungarian streetwear bands. Sziasztok, srácok! Customers. Na, akkor mindjárt azt hozom. Yeah, we got a lot going on here.
Airbrushing? Is this airbrush?
Exactly. They're customizing sneakers. We also have a local Czech airbrush artist over there. Super interesting.
Wow.
Perfect. Okay, what time is it? Oh, it's perfect.
You know, I remember. Like when I was young, I used to draw the swoosh. In fact, in my book, I have like my kid drawing of a swoosh, right?
I know that.
And so like I would always try to draw swooshes. When I learned Illustrator, I would like make it as perfect as I could.
Wow.
But then I remember when I finally got to work with Nike, and they said like, we're gonna email you the swoosh actual file.
Wow.
Dude, that was like
the moment
the
that
most
you made it.
accomplished moment of my life.
Oh my God.
That Nike sent me. It said the file was called swoosh.ai.
Yeah.
Right? And I was just like, I have the actual swoosh. I was like,
this is the original swoosh.
It's like the Wizard of Oz gives you the key. Like, you could use that now, you know?
That's like, that's amazing. That's incredible. Yeah. So we have also some.
Can I see the line?
Let's check. I know these guys are amazing.
This
we have
is your
a huge
brand?
line in here.
Zephyr?
Yeah. Zephyr. How much work goes into one piece? How much time?
This one piece is till like 60 or 70 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is sick.
You know what, Jeff? This
up?
is what I'm super curious about. This is like there is the one big difference between the fashion industry and success in the fashion industry and like other non-fashion industries In other industries, we talk about scalability.
Yeah.
And then in fashion, we talk about uniqueness and one-of-one pieces.
Yep.
What's once again this balance that you have to find?
Well, you're showing like
because obviously if
this is
he
like
makes
the
it by hand
maximum
for
artistic
60
thing.
hours,
Yeah. This is beautiful, but and you know how much does this cost to buy?
It basically depends on the material that we use.
Okay.
So we
How much is this one?
So we buy like a pair of regular jeans.
Yeah.
Like as you can see on the inside. That costs around like how much we want to pay for the price and quality.
Yeah.
And how much do you sell it for?
255 euros.
Euros, okay.
Okay, that's not bad at all.
Custom belts too.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm gonna show you around too. We got
What you're wearing is amazing too.
Yeah. This one-on-one piece too, plus the hoodie too.
Yeah. See, on that, when we were talking about that art versus science thing,
Yeah.
he's like 100% art,
Yeah.
right? Zero science almost.
And then you got to bring
this
that
is,
part in.
Yeah.
With the graffiti.
All individual graffiti?
Yes.
Yes.
And we got some repairs on it too.
Yeah.
And our logo too.
No, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Great.
We got this was actually our first type of jeans that we made.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are called the Destroyed.
I love it, yeah.
Yeah, you're amazing.
Yeah,
Great.
it's great
We're
meeting you.
gonna talk more
I'll talk
about
to you
it.
later.
Yeah.
See you later.
Yeah, but I mean, your story was also, what you wrote about in the book was also similar, that you got the huge order,
Yeah.
and then you had to like get the solution.
Yeah.
Bam. That's
Mine was 1,000. Oh, you got ping pong?
Oh, we got ping pong. Do you play ping pong?
I'm very good at ping pong.
Can I challenge you for a round of ping pong later?
Yeah,
Perfect.
you'll probably beat me, but
We'll see.
you're a professional athlete. But you know what I did in Las Vegas one year?
Tell me.
I brought a ping pong table, and it was right after the Panda Pigeon Dunks came out.
Okay.
I said, whoever beats me at ping pong will get a free pair of Panda
No
Pigeon
way.
Dunks. I played 500 people, and only 2 people beat me
Oh my God.
in the whole weekend.
Oh my God. Okay, so if I beat you at ping pong, you sign my Panda Pigeons.
Yeah,
How about that?
Got it, yeah.
We do that. Perfect. This
Wow,
is.
that's dope. Hey, what's up? How you doing?
They're big
to meet
vintage collectors
Cool.
from
What's up?
Hungary.
How you doing?
So a lot of
Wow.
moments from the
Love it.
90s actually. And also that over there is the Pop and Roll Art Gallery that I was telling you about
Nuts.
with Kish Miklos. Lots of bear bricks, and it's the #1 spot. It's opening beginning of next year for art toys and bear bricks. and
Pop
all
and
kinds of
roll?
stuff. Exactly, pop and roll. It's actually an art toilet in the inner city of Budapest. It belongs to the same businessman who owns Madame Tussauds.
Okay.
And it's like right in the building of Madame Tussauds.
Really?
And like Madame Tussauds Budapest, and it's like a half of it is like a concept store with like art toys, and the other half is basically like an art toilet, like an art museum. This is actually Miklos. He's the artist of the huge bear
Really?
and all these guys.
Wow,
Yeah.
amazing. Nice to meet
Nice
you.
to meet you.
He was also
Amazing
headlining the Gwangju Biennale. And
So you did this?
Yeah.
Wow, cool. P-girl.
Yeah. P-boy. It's always a bird. Yeah.
I think we're definitely gonna gift you one of these.
Okay.
Definitely. Yeah, he's bringing it out. Exactly. No, but you know what? Just getting back to our business topic over there, what you were mentioning. Also, what it really makes me think about it a lot, and I'm really curious in your opinion. In startup culture, we talk a lot about an exit
Oh,
strategy.
thank you.
For you.
Oh,
Cute.
this is his new
Yeah,
book.
and-
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, look at that.
love it. So cute.
Okay.
Love it. Thank you so much.
So yeah, what we talk a lot about in the startup culture is an exit strategy. But also I feel like, for so many companies
Liz.
and for businesses, it's so crucial. And also in your story, I mean, basically, Staple and Pigeon would have never worked the way it did without you and without your passion, without your vision.
Yeah.
How do you balance that out? Because
Well, I
at
don't
one
believe-
point,
yeah.
if you're replaceable in your own business and you have a good exit strategy,
Yeah.
what about it as your business? In the end?
Exactly. I don't really believe in the exit strategy because exit strategy, the only reason why you want to exit a building is because you don't want to be in that building anymore. Why would you start a brand and you don't want to be in the brand? That's so weird to me.
It's true.
So you can bring in partners, but I think you as the founder should want to be a part of this for the rest of your life. And if you don't, you might have picked the wrong thing to do.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, Jeff, so what do you say? We're opening the gates in 5 minutes.
Yep.
If you have 5 minutes time, let's head out to the line and just see what's going on there.
All right.
Basszus, 2 perc, és nyitunk. So it's 2 minutes until the priority gate opens.
How long is the line?
Let's see it.
Holy shit.
It's long. Oh my God. I hope it's not too cold out there, but let's see it. Wow. Uh-huh. Oh my God.
Oh shit.
Sit.
Oh my
Jeff,
God.
go right ahead.
Man.
Thank you, Jeff.
This is crazy.
Wow. Jó, oké. Sziasztok! Ez az! Zsolti, készen állunk, hogy nyissunk? Sziasztok! Csak gyorsan, nincs ami hangos, bemondom. Most nyitunk. Köszi, hogy itt vagytok. Ez tényleg budapesti sneaker történelem. Köszi, hogy ennyien jöttetek. Hihetetlen, itt van velem Jeff Staple, a legenda. Hatalmas tapsot neki is. Hatalmas munka folyt bele ebbe az egész eseménybe. Remélem, hogy tetszeni fog. Több mint 140 kiállító vár bent titeket, és remélem, hogy élvezni fogjátok, úgyhogy azt gondolom, hogy szerintem hány óra van? 11. Jason, nyitunk? Mehet! Ennyi!